Okay, now we are on the Postbot Architecture on the session. Previously, we have discussed about Postbot, workflow related to that one architecture that we are going to discuss now. Okay, now we have earlier we have talked about the Postman needs user input and context aware window, and that will be taken to the Postbot, and that is context uh, mm, context layer, and that will be again treated into the AI skills and actions. So AI skills and actions, those two the phases that will be treated by the this particular agents. Okay, now let's talk about this is the first. So what the Postman did is total entire process, whatever the technical process they have, they divide into the two layers, two loops. One is okay external conversation loop. Second one is the internal agent loop. Okay, so what the Postbot has to do is it has to deal with the two loops. One is whatever the inputs that are coming from the Postman app site, that will be dealt as an external conversation loop. If it is a right input, okay, that will be taken care. If it is a wrong, it will get back the response to the end user. So that will be taken care by this particular external conversation loop. Only simply it has to take the input from the Postman app where the user give the input. Okay, that will be fed to the Postbot, this particular I'm talking about, and then if that will be processed, once the process is completed, that the actions on app, that means again that will go to the Postman app as a response. That's about the external conversation loop. Now in between, this is the Postbot. Okay, it has three layers inside it in this particular internal agent loop. Okay, one is a root agent, that we call it as a root agent layer, where agent is the one where acts as a backbone for entire assistant process. Okay, the taking the inputs and understanding and process and manage and memory management and actions management, everything will be taken by this particular root agent. And if the particular actions, as I told, the particular AI skills and actions has to be taken care by these two layers, where we call it as the agent tools layer, because this particular root agent has to understand, hey, what action has to be, what skill it is, and what action has to be done. So it has to be accordingly, the inputs are various, the intent is various, the label is various. So it has to be send that information to the respective tools. It's not one, for you as a just a simple user interface layer, and you're just giving the input and taking the output. But behind that one, there's a lot of the technology involved, and lot of the tools are agent tools are integrated to deal with any kind of input that user is giving. Okay, one is anyway standard scripts or standard documentation and standard visualization. These are all straight away, but there are we are giving the input in a different form. I mean in natural language format. So the agent has to understand the intent and set the classifier, and then accordingly it has to trigger the relevant agent tool, so that user will get the right output. Okay, so in order to that one, they have the design and developed. These are the two layers where it will give the entire the process, and then give the relevant results. Okay, in this internal loop, it has agent tools layer. It has a bunch of agent tools. It might be a third party, or it might be a in-house, or it might be other platform, cloud platform related agent tools. For example, Postman might have their own agents. okay, in-house agents, or else they can take the agents from the Microsoft, or they can take the agents from the Hugging Face, or they can take the agents from the Meta. It depends. Okay, depends on the way that input is being driven, and the respective agents will be called, okay, in the form of APIs. And then once that agent tool is called, that agent will decide what action has to be taken. So that action has to be fed to the agent layer, this actions layer, and then will give it back to the root agent. Root agent will keep that information in the memory, so in the action stack. So it may be sometimes what happens is user will give the two actions at a time. One is, hey, generate a test for this particular request and generate a documentation. That means it has two instructions, and the two different agents have to work on this particular request. Okay, one is script has to be generated, second documentation has to be generated. So in these two inputs, this agent has to play in such a way that, so it has to first take that is script that will be put into the actions, this stack, and then it will process the document, and then it will give the results back to the end user. So this is the process. But okay, now what does this conversation history? Suppose you have started the conversation like, hey, generate the scripts, or hey, update the test script. So hey, delete this particular test, or add this input. These are the things will be maintained in the memory in the backend, so that the total entire based on the history it learns, and it will give the appropriate the results based on the current input. Okay, so in order to do that one, it has to manage this particular process, this particular memory. So conversation history, if the conversation is not available, then it won't be. Even for, if you observe for the chat GPT also, if you today you have started the request and you did some conversation, you got the content, but tomorrow when you come back and on the same request, if you put, it will analyze the previous history, and then it will give the right output. Any of the conversation agent, this kind of memory management is common. Okay, so these are the internal operations that is being done by the agent, and it will give the results. So here I just explained this particular what this root agent do, and this what exactly this agent layer will functions. So in the root agent is modeled by the OpenAI, Anthropic, and Mistral. Anthropic means Claude, AI, and we have a Mistral AI also. This is the agent is being developed on these things, and take the leverage of these platforms, and give the right results back to the end user. In a nutshell, root agent layer is backbone of the model to process inputs, advocate, manage, execute, and respond. Okay, so this is the backbone for entire Postbot. For you as just one icon, but background. So it has the root agent will be there, that will be taken care, entire all the memory management and action stack and internal and external loops. Okay, so root agent architecture under custom architectures to handle the primary interaction, such as one is input it has to handle, agent's response, and agent calls to the tool, different tools that has to call, and tool responds to the agent. Again, suppose you have called the agent tool specific, so the response has to send back to the agent. Okay, so that kind of a process that will be dealt by this particular root agent. And then coming to the agent tools layer, where various set of agent tools to generate the content, and agent tools connect with in-house LLMs or third-party LLM APIs to process the actions. Agent tools functions under multi-action execution to handle the complex task. So as I said, you have a action and generating the script and generating the documentation. These are the two things that will be handled parallelly in a multi-way, so that it will give the results back to the end user within a stipulated time. Okay, so that is the architecture this Postbot is the implemented, because it involves platforms, it involves multi LLM chains, and it involves multi the platforms, and like OpenAI and Claude AI and other platforms it involves, and and also it manages the memory and actions internally. Okay, after all, making these things, so you are able to see the right output. So this is about the the architecture. It's a good to know about what is involving the technical components behind the assistant, and if you have time, you can explore OpenAI and Claude AI internally, their APIs, and how they are being used for the various GenAI assistants, and even for other assistants also. You can explore it, and if the hidden things behind, so that it will be helpful to get the right output from this particular the assistants. The challenge here is how best we can work with the instance, and how best can take the output is the matters here. Okay, so but having the concept behind and the architecture behind, it gives additional value add to your effort, and you can get the right results, and that will be useful to the uh, your development activities. So that's the reason I brought in this particular first edition, to understand the workflow of the Postbot and to understand the architecture, so that whenever we are working on this particular agent, definitely we can get the uh, appropriate and first class results based on the requirement that we have. Okay, so that's all I have about architecture, about the Postbot, and I'll catch you in the next session. Thank you.